mute those again. Mute all, that's muted, that's recording. I think we're all good to go. Right, ladies and gents, so if you've not done Pilates before, there's different options to listen for, and just listen to the option that feels right for you. You can try some of the more advanced movements, but if it doesn't feel right for any reason, just bring it back to some of the basic movements. So what we're going to do first of all is set our posture. You want your feet hip distance apart, your knees soft and relaxed, and then you need to grow at least an inch taller. So breathe in, let the breath roll all the way up the spine, and as you breathe out, just let the chin nod in, and gently draw your chin back towards your throat. So it's going to keep your ears in line with your shoulders. Now from here, we're just going to bring some movement through our pelvis with some pelvic tilts. So it's a little rock of the pelvis, letting your hip bones point to the floor, and imagine you're trying to point them upwards towards the ceiling. Now try and keep the knees soft and your weight even through both feet. Feel like your tailbone scoops right underneath your bottom, and then feel your tailbone almost lift away towards the ceiling. Now as you're moving through your lower back, you want to keep your upper back really still. So keep that lengthened feeling all the way up to the crown of your head, keeping the chin tucked in, and feel like the ribs are just softly down towards the hips. Now a couple more in each direction, and then we're going to settle midway between those 2 points, so your hip bones face forward, hands are down by the thighs, and then just a little breath in to lift the shoulders, and then roll them back and down. So your breath just simply comes in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. And as we're moving through the upper body, we're now trying to keep our lower body nice and still. So try and maintain that little tuck of your tailbone. Feel like your belly button's softly drawn back towards the spine. And enjoy that nice release across the top of the shoulders as you pull your shoulder blades back. So this time as you roll those shoulders back and down, we're going to hold them there. And we're going to come to a sway. So we're going to maintain this set position from our ears to our ankles, with our tailbone tucked and our belly drawn in. Then we just take a little sway forward with the balls of your feet, keeping the heels glued to the ground. And then sway back so the weight comes into the heels. Now you're going to think about the space you hold between your ribs and your hips. If when you sway back your ribs flare, that means your lower back starts to arch. If when you come forward your ribs collapse, then the back starts to round. And what we're trying to do is, as we sway, maintain that really lengthened position. Then if you feel comfortable with your sways, you can allow the heels to lift, just come onto the balls of your feet, and then ease back into your heels. So again, you're just going to gently keep swaying backwards and forwards. Just allow a few people to come and join us. Now you've got the sways and you're feeling the muscles work to maintain your posture, see if you can close your eyes. That makes the challenge a little different. So when you close your eyes, it takes away that visual feedback, so all the deeper muscles are just working that little bit harder to maintain your balance and your posture as you sway. So again, use lots of breath. When you finish your last sway here, we're going to settle ourselves in centre and then bring some movement through our spine. So from your hips and below, you've been literally set in concrete. So there's no sway, there's no movement through the legs and the hips. Your weight's even through the feet and your bottom's tucked under. Your hands are by the thighs, and just relax your knees a little. Just gently start to ease now down towards your right leg. Lengthen back up to the crown of your head, and then gently over to the left. Now if you give your bottom just a little squeeze, that's going to really help to keep the hips still. And if you feel your hips push out to the side, then don't go as far. Just go to the point where you feel you're able to keep your hips still. So as well as starting to warm and mobilise the spine, we're starting to wake up stability muscles around our hips. Try and now breathe in as you lower down, and then breathe out as you rise. Your ear wants to stay in line with the shoulder. So if you imagine you're placed between two pieces of glass, and you can only move directly from side to side. You may well feel that you don't quite go as far, but you'll feel more movement in the spine. 2 more each way, deepening if it feels comfortable. Breathing in to lower, and then breathing out with a lift. Once more each side. And then as you rest into centre, we're just going to stay here. Now from here we're going to come into our tandem stance and bring some rotation in. So you're going to bring your right foot in front of your left. Your big toe touches your heel and you imagine you're stood on a tightrope. Now you may feel instantly you've locked out your legs, so soften the knees. Scoop under again with the bottom and feel like your belly button's softly drawing back, and then lift both arms to shoulder height. Your right arm just gently pulls back past the rib, turning your eye gaze to the right, and then coming back into the centre. Then we move to our left, breathing in to pull the elbow back, and breathing out to come forwards. Now you may feel all your weight shifted into your back heel. So try and keep the weight even through both feet. And keep lengthening the entire time. So you're pulling the crown of your head up towards the ceiling, and that's going to help to keep space between each vertebrae and make it a little easier for the turn. And gently squeeze the bottom so the hips are staying still. One more here to your left. And then hold the arms out, change feet, bring your left foot in front of your right, soften the knees, pull the shoulders back and down. Stay with bent elbows, or just simply breathe in, open across the shoulder, and then breathe out to come back into the centre without falling over. The breath flows in through your nose here, out through your mouth to come back to your start position. We always use the out breath for the effort, because when we breathe out, we create a deeper connection into our abdominals. So pause if you need to. Breathe out strongly. Keep breathing out through the mouth as you come back into the centre. A couple more down each side. And as one arm's moving, try and keep the other arm really, really still. Just a little bit of something else to think about. Now as you're doing this, you may feel the work in your calf or in your bum. Whichever muscle's having to work harder to create that stability, that's where you'll feel it more. And it might be different on one leg compared to the other. When you have finished your last one, you can just float the arms down and you can set your feet back in underneath your hips. Let's find some balance next. So we're just going to do some knee raises. Soften your knees and scoop under your bottom. Roll the shoulders back. Let your weight come into your left leg. Lift your right heel. And then so you can lift your right knee up in line with the hip. Bring your toe, then the ball of your foot to the floor, and then the heel. There's a little sway so your weight comes into your right leg. Left heel lifts, left knee lifts, toe down, ball of the foot, and then heel. And if this feels too much, just simply lift the heel, but let all the weight come into the left leg. So you're still starting to find your balance, but you've got a little bit of stabilise there by keeping your toe on the ground. Now when you lift one knee, try and keep the opposite knee soft, so you're not locking out the standing leg. You're breathing out with the lift, keeping your bottom tucked under, and breathing in as you bring the foot down. Once more, then I think you might be ready to add in the arms as well. So this time, both arms are going to lift, just up in line with the shoulders. Now see if you can open the arms, drawing the shoulder blades together. Arms back in line with the shoulders. Then lower the foot and the hands. So no rush, breathing out with the lift. Breathing in, open the arms. Breathing out to close your arms. And then a breath in to release. And if you're fairly new to Pilates, don't worry about the breathing. Just keep breathing when it feels right for you. And just bringing your awareness back to your neutral spine. So when you lift the knee, try and make sure the hips don't tilt back. You want to keep that little tuck. Even if it means not bringing the knee quite as high, think about that position of the pelvis. So we're always trying to work with perfect posture. We expect nothing less anymore. And by the end of lockdown, that's exactly what we should all have. There will be no excuses. One more on each side. And again, that option's there just to lift the toe, heel, sorry, and keep the toe down. Of course, you're going to need those balance muscles very soon. And then in the centre, just take a rest. Just release the shoulders, just let go of any tension, just give them a few rolls back, and then pull the shoulder blades down. So let's take our feet a little wider than our hips for some squats. We're going to add seesaw arms. So what we're going to do from here is the bottom tuck, so you're in neutral. Feet are just outside the hip sockets. We're going to come into our squat, we're going to lift the arms. Now keep the spine still and just seesaw the arms. One lifts, one lowers, arms stop in line with the shoulders, and then push through the heels as we rise. Breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth, and then push through the heels and come back up into set position. So each time I really want you to set your position at the top. So you're always moving from a strong foundation. So really lengthen from the crown of the head to the ceiling. Breathing in as you ease down. Draw the belly button softly towards the spine. And really lengthen the arms now, reach into your fingertips. Now just check your knees as you're coming into your squats, that they track in line with your toes and they're not trying to collapse inwards. If you do feel the knees rolling in, just give them a gentle press out towards the little toes. And as you press the knees outwards, so they're in line with your toes, you'll feel the outer thigh muscles really starting to switch on. And again, that creates more stability around the hips and it lets your glutes work harder. 2 more, should just about do this one. And then once we've got the glutes fired up and working, and we've worked our balance muscles, and you know your squat technique, then we can bring balance and squats together. Something for you to look forward to. Push out the heels and rest. So I'd like to bring your feet now in, so the back underneath your hips. I'm going to turn sideways on so you can see your right leg forward and you're resting on the ball of your foot and this right leg is straight. Left knee stays soft and we're going to put the hands on the hips to begin. So I want you to feel that your hips physically push back. You're bending your left knee but keeping this right leg straight. Pause. Weight in your left heel. Push the left heel into the floor and you want to drive your hips right back under the shoulders. So as the hips move back, there's a stretch down to the bottom, like a big elastic band. And as you come forward, you're releasing the hips and driving them forwards. Breathing in, pause, weight in the left heel, push the left heel down. Now your next challenge is to keep your right foot hovering off the floor. And again, if that's too much, just keep that right foot resting. Pause at the bottom. Once you've got your balance, then push back up and reset your shoulders right back above the hips. Again, slow breath in. Aware now of your left knee. If again that's starting to collapse in, keep gently pressing it out towards the little toe. So we get a few more muscles involved that gives us a lot more stability around the hips. 2 left. There's always 2 left. Could always be 4. Lift the arms if you want to. And then push it through the heel. One last time, breathing in, bringing the arms to shoulder height, and then pushing out the heel, and relaxing. Rubbing if required, and then let's change over legs. So again, start the feet directly below the hips. Left leg's forward this time, we've done that buttock. Square the hips, lift the chest, hands on your hips so you get a little bit of feedback, and then let's move the hips back. So imagine there's a chair behind you. You're going to sit back into that chair. You're going to pause with a hover. And then you're going to put your weight in your right heel and push yourself back up through your right heel. Stretching the bottom like a big elastic band. Or a small elastic band if you've got a smaller bottom. And now just the chin, keep it tucked in. Abdominals are gently drawn in, so we're keeping nice, strong, long back. And then if you want to add the arms, let the arms come forward like we did with the other squats. And then push through the heel. So again, option now is to lift your left foot, allow it to hover off the ground. And when you're moving your hips, you're keeping that left foot just off the floor. Don't let the leg lift as you come into your squat. Try and keep it really low. Pause at the bottom, find your balance, then push up through the heel and you really start to feel your glutes. A little deeper if you can. Chest nice and high. Push down through the heel. There's only one left. Breathing in. And then breathing out. So you all know where your glutes are now, that's for sure. Let's do some lunges and add a little bit of twist. So the lunges have got two benefits. They're going to strengthen the legs and the glutes, but they're also going to stretch out the hips. So we need to start again from a strong set position with the heels and the hips. Shoulders back. You're going to step forward with your right leg. You're going to lift the hands to your chest and lower your back knee. So as your back knee lowers, the front knee stays exactly where it is, and then turn to your right, come back into the centre, and then step back. Left leg coming forward this time. The back heel's off the ground. The back knee sinks to the floor. Turn to your left, to the centre, and then push out the heel and step in. Now when you step back, try not to drag your foot along the floor. I want you to really pick the foot up to step back. And then you'll feel there's a lot more work for the glutes as we go back, rather than just dragging this foot back in. So if you imagine you've got a block on the floor, so when you step back, you're then going to take a nice little lift of the leg and lift the foot up and back into centre. It just makes it a little bit more challenging. Now try and make sure each time you're in your lunge, you're getting a mild stretch down the back leg. Keep your shoulders above the hips. So again, the spine stays lengthened and really open. Now when you start with your twists, just checking on that front knee. So when you twist, you want to make sure the front knee doesn't wobble from side to side. So a little squeeze at the bottom is going to help to keep the legs and the hips still. And that nicely allows the movement then into your spine. Starting to warm and work into your waist. Shall we do one more each side? So you can step a little further forward or lower your back knee a little deeper. One more time. Shoulders always stacked above the hips. And then nice strong push back. We're all warm. I see a few tops getting shredded now. Right, stay with our balance just a little bit more. We're going to keep the feet just outside the hips. We're going to come to squats and add a little leg lift with the right leg. So hands on the hips, back into a squat. And as you rise, push your right leg out to the side. Shoulders are still above the hips. Back with the hips. Push out your left foot and out to the side. Now breathe in, hips are back. Breathe out to rise. Add in the arms if you want to. You can lift the arms to shoulder height as you lift the leg, or you can bring the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. If you're lifting the arms high, be aware that you don't arch into your back. So when it comes to that strong set position each time, that's why we use the out breath. Helps us to engage our core and really come into a strong position at the top. 4 more here. Did I mention today's session was going to be a lot about balance? Just starting to feel it. 1 more time. And then from here, hold. Bring your hands down and lower your leg. And then just push the foot out to the side and arms to shoulder height. You can tap your foot on the floor, or you can stay with a hover. Slowly and resist. So don't let the arm and the legs just drop. Control them down gently. Lift the chest nice and high. And breathe out. In. Out. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. 1 more. Option. Heel curl. So you're going to bring your heel to your bottom as you open the arms and then extend back into your toes. Now again, as we're moving through the arms and legs, we're trying to keep the trunk of the body still. So if you need less, just make it a smaller movement. Just a little curl's fine. Slowly to curl higher and then lose that upper body position. You're breathing out to squeeze, in to release. Out through your mouth, in through your nose. And if you're all screaming at me, I can't hear, so I'll just do one more. And then you can rest. You might want to give your bum a rub. Something wrong if you don't. Or you might want to rub somebody else's bottom, that's fine too. You're in your own home, it's allowed. Let's change over sides. So with our left leg this time. Come into your squats, hips back. Push through your right heel and lift your left leg. The breath comes into our nose, out through our mouth. Crown of your head pulls directly up towards the ceiling. Add the arms if you want to. So again, breathing out with the lift. In as you sit back into your hips. Crown of head to ceiling. And again, you're trying to make sure those shoulders just stack above the hips. Ears still in line with the shoulders. And again, coming really tall each time. So we've got the inner thighs and the outer thighs doing a little bit of work. Bottom doing lots of work with the stability and the balance at the top. And then this time you're going to hold at the top. Arms and legs lower, just to a hover, and then we lift and lower. Now as your leg's lifting, try and keep your toes pointing forward so you're not letting that foot turn out to the side. Even if it's just a small lift. More important to keep the toes forward, that's going to keep the hips in alignment. Hopefully keeping your tuck under with your tailbone. Let the arms come a little higher if you want to. Just watching the ribs don't flare as the arms lift higher. So this is where we use the out breath. We draw the tummy in breath to lower. Now this time we're going to come back to that hamstring curl. So arms to shoulder height, leg lifts. We open the arms, heel to the bottom, and then land on your toes. You can rest your toes lightly each time. Try and soften your right knee. Retuck the bottom. And feel the shoulders squeeze. Squeeze the shoulders together. So you're stretching your chest at the same time. To the left here. I think we might be due a lie down. And then step in. Shake everything. Before we lie down, we've got lots of work in our bottom. Let's just do a few wide leg squats because we're really targeting all around the hips and the glutes. Then I promise you will have a lie down. Take your feet wider than your hips, so your ankles are almost in line with your shoulders. Now your feet need to be turned out to a diagonal position, and then corkscrew your heels into the ground so your knees are in line with your toes. Instantly, getting a little bit more connection through the outer thighs. Now once you're in this position, retuck the bottom and roll the shoulders back. We're just going to breathe in, lower into the hips for our squat. And then breathe out, push through the heels and squeeze the bottom. Feel the hips are moving back, back, knees are pressing outwards, and then pushing up into a strong set position. The breath again, just gently in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're going to add the arms at the bottom if you want to. Holding, lifting, right arm back, then your left arm back, and then arms lower and push through the heels. So your first option, just into your squat and back up. A little bit more endurance, a little bit more tension in your quads, is adding this extra move. Now, as we add the extra move with the arms, we bring rotation to our spine, but we want to keep stillness through the hips. So as your arms moving, try not to let the hips turn from side to side. And to help that, resisting that turn, keep pressing the knees out wide. See if you can turn the head with the arm. Then lower the arms and come up tall. 3 more. 4 more. 10 more. anybody's saying. So did somebody say 20 more? Is my lip reading not very good? And again, you're always working at your own pace. So any exercise, you can just take a rest at any point. You can go and have a quick cup of tea, I'll never know. And then rise. Should we give it a rest? Bring your legs in and give them a shake. You're ready to have a lie down. Come down to the floor, in a sideline position to begin with. We're going to keep that intensity on around our hips. Just readjust my phone position. Perfect. So let's work with some clams first of all. So again, we're really focusing on all the muscles that help to support the pelvis, the hip joint. And what we're going to do from here, move legs, is a down dog or an up dog. So as you lie down, you're going to rest your head. You're going to have your knees pointing forwards and your feet stacked. Now with your hand on your hip, just gently push the hip away and then push the dog away. And then from here, we're going to just gently open the knees. Your knees lightly touch at the bottom. And as you open your knees for your clam, your feet stay together. Now main focus again when we're moving into our clam is to keep the pelvis and the back still. So if you imagine your bottom is up against a wall and there's no room for the hips to roll back, or you can imagine you've got a glass of water balanced here on your hip. You're tucking your tailbone under to keep the pelvis as still as you comfortably can. You're breathing out through the mouth and in through your nose. Now just a little bit of awareness through your ribs now. Try not to push the rib cage forward as you open the knees. You don't want your back to go into extension. Trying to maintain that really still, strong set position. And then you're ready for your next bit. I would normally have my head down, but I can't see with my head down. Got a dog bottom in my face. So we're going to stay at the top this time. You're going to keep your legs still and just squeeze the thigh. And then bring your toes back together and simply close down. Now when your leg extends forward, the upper part of the leg doesn't change position. You're squeezing the front of your thigh and extending from your knee. Keep going there, I'll just show you this from the side so it might look a little bit easier. So the heels are in line with the hips, the knees open, legs stay still, and you're extending so your knees are still stacked, thighs stay parallel, and then your knees close. You feel a gentle warming, is that a new word? You feel a gentle warming around your hips, or not so gentle, as the case may be. Let's do two more with the leg extension and the clam together. Just giving your tailbone a little retuck. And then we're just going to work with the leg extension. This is where the heat really comes in. So you're going to keep the knees open. Extend, tap, extend, tap. So we've got stability through the upper part of the leg. The knee and hip staying perfectly still. Just squeezing the front of your thigh to get that leg extension. Breathing out, in, out, in. Twice more if you can. And again, you can rest at any point if you feel you've had enough. And then you can close your knees down and you can rub your bottom again. Getting lots of bottom rubs today. This time we're going to take the legs out straight. We're going to work into our waist muscles, our obliques, for a bit of stabilisation. Now when you're lying down, it's just as if you were standing. Ankles, knees, hips, ear and shoulder in line. Don't know body parts either today. So push your top hip just slightly away from your rib, and you should feel that creates a little bit of space underneath your bottom rib, and that's going to help to put the spine in an aligned position. Now from here, we're going to lift both legs just a fraction off the floor. We're going to keep the hips and the back still, and we scissor the legs. One slightly forward and one slightly back. We do it slowly. We breathe in to open the legs, and we breathe out to close. Again, I'll show you from a different angle. When you're scissoring your legs, you're squeezing the front of your thighs so your legs stay straight. You're tucking your tailbone under and you're trying to resist arching through your lower back as you scissor your legs. Your neck and your shoulders stay relaxed. And if you feel well balanced, you've got your hand lightly on the floor. You can maybe place the hand on the hip. Squeeze the thighs nice and long through the legs. And then maybe bring the legs a little bit wider. Breathing in to open and out to close. So in through your nose and out through your mouth. And 2 more each way, a little wider if you can. Feel the ribs are softly drawn down towards the hips. And 1 more to the back. Bring your legs into the middle and we do a little lift. Up, down, up, down. Breathe out, in, out, in. Relax the shoulders. Halfway, try the hand on the hip for 5, 4, if it's too much with 2 legs, just work with 1, 3, 2, 1, and release. Now for the other side. So take a roll over in your own time, don't move too quickly, nice and slowly. And if you've done that right, as you turn over, it should really hurt your bottom when you rest on it. So again, that's your test. So point your knees forward again, stack your heels behind your hips. You will feel your hip naturally collapses upwards towards your rib, and it's kind of swashed that space here. So if you gently push the hip away from the rib and try and open this space here, then gently pull the ribs down so you're locking this position in. Then a little scoop under with your bottom and a breath in. With the out breath, the knees open, and the in breath, the knees close. Again, you're trying to make sure the hips don't roll back. So if you bring your mind to your hip bones, imagine you've got headlights on your hip bones and they're pointing forwards. They're not trying to point up towards the ceiling as you roll the knee outwards. So again, it's all about keeping the pelvis still and letting these muscles do the work. If your hips roll, then the movement is initiated from your back. And we're trying to keep the back as long and as still as we possibly can. So we feel that little bit extra through the bottom. Now the leg extension, you're going to hold at the top. You're going to simply squeeze the thigh. Bring your toes back together. And then lower the knees. You can use your out breath to lift. You're going to keep breathing out to extend. And then a breath in and release. And you should feel as you use the out breath, as you get towards the end of the out breath, there's a much deeper connection coming into your abdominals. Because when we breathe out and force the air out, all the muscles inside your tummy have got to squeeze to get the last bit of air out of the lungs as well. That's where all the muscles pull inwards. And it almost creates like your own natural corset around your midsection. And again, if you're fairly new to Pilates, I've started to do some beginners Pilates sessions on a Monday at 11 o'clock. So if you're interested in doing those, you can just drop me an email and I'll send you the timetable for the other classes. And that's just a foundation. It helps with your breathing, just a little bit more postural awareness. And then you feel the burns even more. So let's stay at the top this time. You're going to hold your thighs still. You're going to squeeze, tap, squeeze, tap. You're going to breathe out. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. In through your nose. Squeezing the front of the thigh each time. Trying to keep your part of the leg still. And again, you should feel the work around the outer thigh and hip area. That's perfectly normal. You might be starting to grimace. That can happen too. You might be better at counting than me. That's probably quite possible. Let's do 2 to finish off this leg. It feels as painful as the other leg did, so I think we're about there. And then bring your knees together and have another little rub. Let's extend the legs out. So again, we're back in our aligned position from the ear to the ankles. Just aware that that hip hasn't collapsed back in. So just again, trying to push the hip away. So you're opening up here. That bottom rib, you may feel it's lifted. And when we move our legs, you're trying not to push that bottom rib back into the floor. So roll the shoulder back first, rest your head down, squeeze your thighs and lift your legs. Now breathe in, open your legs, one forward, one back, and then breathe out to close. Try not to bring tension into this top shoulder. So I don't want to feel like that you're rounding forwards and anchoring through your hand. I want that shoulder to roll back. I want it to stay really relaxed. And imagine your fingers are resting on really thin ice. So you don't want to push on that too much. You'll feel everything else then through your midsection works hard to stabilise rather than the muscles around the neck and the shoulder. Keep the legs as straight as possible. Keep the bottom tucked under. So again, there's no movement through the tummy or through the back. And maybe try your last 4 each way with your hand on your hip. This is where I wobble. And again, like me, you might find it completely different on one side compared to the other. We always tend to be dominant more on one side. And then that just means we have to work a little harder on the other side. Once more each way. See if you get the legs a little wider without arching into your lower back. One last one. It's not over yet. Stay in the middle, feet together and double leg lift. Breathe in. Out to lift, in to lower. Out through your mouth, in through your nose. Try and keep any tension out the shoulder. Option to bring it down. You can bring the hand back to the floor. And almost use your bottom foot to push your top leg up. So again, we get more inner thigh work there. 3 up. 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a roll over, come face down onto the floor. From here, we'll go into plank. So I'm going to do some back extension work, but looking at my clock, it's plank o'clock. Elbows in under your shoulders. Now your feet want to be a little bit wider than your hips, so don't have the feet together. Knees are on the ground and shoulder stability first before we lift anything. The shoulders need to roll back. Feel like your shoulder blades are really slotting down the back of your ribs. Once you create lots of space between your ears and your shoulders, then you're going to lift the hips up so they come in line with your shoulders. If they're down here, that's going to bring work into your back. So you want to lift them a little higher than you probably think, so your hips and shoulders are in line. Now your tailbone, try and draw it towards your heels. Feel like that brings a little bit of length into your lower back and a little bit of work into your tummy. So you're going to feel like your belly button's pulling up away from your t-shirt and you're holding it up towards your spine. Now we're going to add some knee lifts. Just your right knee. You're going to push your right heel back so your right leg straightens and then lower the knee down. If the knee lifts feel a little bit too much, just stay and hold your hover. If at any point you feel it more in your back than in your core, you need to either tuck your tailbone under or your muscles may be fatigued and you might just simply need a rest. Does that include me? Now watch the head, don't let the ears drop below your shoulders. You're trying to maintain all the connection to the back at the same time. Lots of length from the head to the bottom. One more on your left leg. Then gently lower your thighs, lower your hips, and have a sigh of relief. Hands by your ribs, squeeze the elbows in. Just simply breathe in, peel the chest up. Don't force yourself back with the hands there to help you lift a little higher, but you're not forcing yourself back. I want you to simply use your breath. Breathe in, lift the breath into the chest. Breathe out, squeeze the bottom. And then just gently roll down when you're ready. Coming into a box position for a little release. So coming onto your hands and your knees. Hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Weight slightly forward into the hands and the shoulders back. Your right arm is just going to simply reach under, turn your eye gaze with your hand, and then drawing the arm back. Now again, we're trying to bring this movement through our upper back. It's a nice releasing exercise. And we want to make sure we've got strength through the shoulders, so your left hand is pressing into the floor as if you're pushing yourself away from the ground. And then you're tucking your tailbone under to keep the hips still and keep the movement in the upper back. We're going to bring the hand onto the floor this time. We're going to change sides. Keep the fingers nice and spread. Bring your weight forward. Breathe in, thread under, and then breathe out to lift and open. So again, you can keep the head still and just work with the arm. You can let the head turn and let that rotation movement again come through the neck. And again, a little breath in as you tuck under, and the out breath as you lift and open. That's your reward for all your hard work. One more time. And then your hand comes down. You're going to simply just pull your hips back to your heels. If you need to, you can take your knees a little wider. Feet come together, pulling the hips back, and so you can walk your hands forward. Now from here, lengthen your arms. So you to reach forward into your fingertips. That's going to help stretch the lats so it comes underneath your arm, down towards your lower back. Tuck under your tailbone so it opens your lower back. And now press your fingers into the floor as if you're trying to grip the ground. And then when you're ready, we're going to release. Just gently rolling up. Bringing your hands by your feet, bring the knees in. Tuck your toes under. And spring back up slowly. Roll to your heels. Lift the hips, tipping forward. Drawing the belly up to the back. Hanging the crown of your head. Knees are soft. Again, belly nice and high. And then when you're ready, bend your knees, take a nice big breath in, and then use the out breath to start to restack through your spine. Keep your chin tucked in as long as you comfortably can. And then just simply allow the shoulders to roll back and down. And as you come into the middle, take a nice big breath in, reach the ceiling, let your ribs lift right up off your hips, and then pull the arms down. I'm just going to release again. We're going to turn to our right. Your left arm comes across, hips stay square, and then we turn to our left. Little tuck under with the tailbone again, so we're trying to keep the hips still, and just let that release come through the spine, through the upper back. Maybe give your bottom a little squeeze to stop the hips turning. And then in the centre, both hands come down. You're going to breathe in, lift your shoulders, and release them. And again, a lift, and a release. And a massive clap for you all. Good work, everybody, well done. Just going to say, those that have not tried the Move Freely class yet and they enjoy Pilates, Move Freely is Pilates based. You just get to add a couple of extra weights with the Move Freely class if you wish to. So if you've not tried that and you want to give it a try, or you don't want to give it a try but you want to see what it's about, feel free just to log in and watch and see if it's for you. That's always an option. Thanks everybody. See you all later. Bye. Bye. Thank you everybody. You're very welcome.